What's up, y'all, and welcome to Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast presented by Old City Sports Network, the best network for all your Philadelphia sports need. This is your host, Michael Roscoe. Another relatively slow week in Eagles news as we long await the NFL draft at the end of this month. However, we got a couple interesting rumors to talk about, plus find out which former Eagle has called it a career. We're going to talk about all that and a lot more on this episode. So without wasting any time, let's dive right in. Starting off this week's Eagles news, we got another new jersey number drop for one of our newest Eagles. Running back A.J. Dillon will now be wearing number 29, formerly worn by cornerback Avonte Maddox. Dillon wore number 28 when he was with Green Bay. And for the Eagles, number 28 is currently worn by running back Will Shipley. I'm glad that Dillon didn't, kind of bully Will Shipley into giving him 28 because Will Shipley already started off with a shitty number in number 39. And, I think it's just a classy move by A.J. Dillon, in my opinion. It'll be fun to see Saquon, A.J., and Will all out on the field this upcoming season. In other Eagles news, former Eagles wide receiver Julio Jones. Yeah, never thought in my lifetime I'd say that in one sentence. But Julio Jones calls it a career as he announced his retirement on social media after 13 years in the league. Jones joined the Eagles in 2023 on a one-year deal where he had 11 catches for 74 yards and 3 touchdowns. Drafted to the Atlanta Falcons in 2011, his best years with Atlanta came between 2014 and 2019, where he accumulated 623 catches for just under 10,000 yards and 37 touchdowns. Julio Jones finishes his career with a total of 914 catches for a whopping 13,703 yards with 66 touchdowns. An amazing career from Julio Jones. Best of luck to you in your retirement. And of course, thank you for all of your contributions to the Philadelphia Eagles. Next, the NFL has announced the offseason workout schedule for all 32 teams. For our Philadelphia Eagles, the first day of offseason workouts will begin on April 21st. Now, for those who are brand new to the NFL, brand new to American football, whatever it may be, the off-season workouts are technically voluntary. However, there is a mandatory minicamp that usually takes place in early to mid-June. These off-season workouts are broken down into 3 phases. So starting with phase 1, this lasts about 2 weeks, and it's reserved for physical rehabilitation, especially for players who are nursing an injury from the previous season. Think Nakobe Dean and his knee injury, as well as meetings and strength and conditioning exercises. No contact or no on-field activities occur during this time. After phase 1 begins phase 2, and this is usually about 3 weeks, where on-the-field activities are now permitted, such as group and individual drills, as well as drills with offensive players lining up against other offensive players, and the same thing for the defense. Contact drills or drills with an offense versus defensive players are not permitted in phase 2. Finally, you have phase 3, which is a 4-week period in which you have at least 10 days of off-season training activities, otherwise known as OTAs, where drills and activities such as 7 versus 7 or 7 versus 9, 11 versus 11 can occur. However, there is still no contact in this phase at all. For the Eagles, these OTAs will occur on May 27th through the 28th, May 30th, June 2nd through the 3rd, and June 5th. And per the NFL rules, there has to be one mandatory veteran minicamp, which will be on June 10th for the Eagles. All right, so diving into the main topic of this episode is a couple rumors going around. One has been talked about more and is more, credible than the other one. So I'm going to go with this one that seems a lot less believable. And that is there's been some rumors floating around that Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill could be a possible trade target to join the Philadelphia Eagles. Yeah, you heard that right. Apparently, it's been reported that Howie Roseman is working on this blockbuster trade to acquire Tyreek Hill from the Dolphins. However, I'm not so sure about the credibility of the sources that are reporting this. It's not like CBS or NFL.com or anything like that. So take it with a grain of salt. Again, this is just a rumor. Nothing has been confirmed. And personally, I would not be a fan of this move despite the talent that Tyreek Hill possesses. We already have two high caliber receivers that we're paying a shit ton of money, plus a former first rounder who still presents with upside in Jahan Dotson at the wide receiver 3. You got Johnny Wilson, who's going into his second year, still has upside, maybe needs to hit the jugs machine a little bit, but still has upside. We could potentially draft a younger late round wide receiver to fill out that wide receiver room. So I just don't think it'd be a smart business move for the team, and it would make the Eagles front office look a little hypocritical, and here's why. So at some press conference or public appearance that Howie Roseman did, I don't remember exactly what it was, but he made a very blunt public stance on how the Eagles during their scouting will not consider any player with a history of domestic violence. And Tyreek Hill does have a history of domestic violence back as far as March 2024. And now again recently, like as of yesterday, April 9th, as police were called for reports of a domestic dispute between Tyreek Hill and his wife, Keita Hill. Keita Hill's mother, I believe, is the one who called the police in fear of her daughter's safety for Tyreek acting irrational, aggressive, things like that. So, adding Tyreek would just contradict everything Howie Roseman said in his stance. Plus, I don't even think we'd want to, nor could afford to, sign Hill with a high-paying contract. So hopefully that rumor stays a rumor. And finally, to wrap up the episode and to continue along with this rumor train, the move to Philadelphia for all-pro safety Justin Simmons seems like it's becoming increasingly more likely each and every week. The two-time Pro Bowler was on the Up and Adams show with Kate Adams earlier this week, and on Tuesday, Simmons mentioned that his number one attraction with determining what team he would like to play for is, quote, a team that is good enough to get themselves into the playoffs. Something the Eagles are very fucking good at doing. Additionally, when asked about how special is the connection Simmons has to Vic Fangio and former Denver, now current Philly DBs coach Christian Parker when considering the Eagles as his next team, Simmons responded with, quote, with Atlanta, there was a lot of new, but with Vic, you know exactly what you're going to get out of him, and I know exactly what I'm getting out of you, Fangio. As well as, quote, I think I can really help in that area, specifically with things that Fangio and Parker really like. Also, he really wants to beat the fucking Chiefs, and I do not blame him at all. And the Eagles will play the Chiefs this year in the regular season, so that's an added bonus for us to acquire Justin Simmons. Listen, after hearing all of that and a lot about this potential move for Simmons to Philly since basically the beginning of free agency, if Roseman has not started a plan or discussions about acquiring him, this shit should have happened like yesterday. This is the perfect scenario for Philly. Washington is a possible contender, along with another group of teams that have interest in Simmons, and Simmons has interest in them. Acquiring Justin would prevent him from going to Washington, and doing so makes us a stronger contender in the division, especially against the Commanders, who were just on this, rise up, especially from what we saw out of them last season. Plus, we're in need of a safety since CJ Gardner-Johnson is no longer on the team, and we only have 3 on the roster. I know we can always draft one such as Malachi Starks, Xavier Watts, Nick Emenwari, or somebody else, and we could still do that. And then have them spend a year learning under Justin Simmons and Reed Blankenship strengthening the potential of that rookie safety. Plus, honestly, I'm just not sold on Sidney Brown being the starter opposite Blankenship just yet. He gives me Marcus Epps vibes. Both great players, but both kind of act like a bull in a china shop sometimes without thinking before acting. I was always getting pissed off when Epps would not wrap up with a tackle. He'd go in with this dumbass shoulder tackle and he'd miss it. He'd miss it completely. And I see similar components of that from Sidney Brown, which makes me a little apprehensive to jump on the wagon of Sidney Brown being that starting opposite safety. Plus, it's obvious that Simmons is familiar not only with Vic Fangio, but with Christian Parker as well, which would make the transition from Atlanta to Philly a lot smoother than it was from Denver to Atlanta. Plus, it would replace that veteran presence that was lost when CJ was traded. So, at this point, let's just get this shit done ASAP. It feels like fate at this point that we could see Justin Simmons in midnight or Kelly Green. All right, y'all. So that is it for this week's episode. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or follow on YouTube, X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok by searching at Second and 15. That's 2NDAND15. Or by searching the full name, Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast. You can find the audio for each and every single episode releasing Thursday mornings on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Player FM, or wherever you get your podcasts. And the videos are uploaded on Thursdays as well to YouTube. This episode, Second and 15, and Old City Sports Network are brought to you by Warlord Beard Oil. Use promo code OLDSPORTS at warlordbeardoil.com for 15% off your beard oils, washes, soaps, and many other products for all of your beard health and beard care needs. Orders over $75 will receive free shipping. We're also sponsored by SeatGeek. Download the app and use promo code Old City Sports Network, all one word, for $20 off of your first purchase. Whether you're going to a sporting event or to a concert or something in between, use our promo code at SeatGeek.com or by downloading the app today. We're also brought to you by Robert Hangholt Construction. If you are in the greater Philadelphia region and need some work done with your roof, your windows, your siding, especially with this spring weather rolling in, call the #1 contractor in the area at 610-348-1066 to get a free estimate on your next home project today. We're also brought to you by Decals by Aaron. For all of your Delco products and merchandise, your #1 spot for everything Delco, check out decalsbyaaron.com today. We are also sponsored by Iron and Steel Threads. Check out ironsteelthreads.com and use promo code OldCity10 for 10% off the entire website, and a portion of the proceeds will go to youth hockey organizations. We're also brought to you by Uncle John's Barbecue Stand, located in Claymont, Delaware. Check them out for some local delicious barbecue and sauces only at Uncle John's Barbecue Stand. And finally, we have Custom Concessions. If you're in the market for repairs to your food truck or trailer, or you're just getting into the food truck business and need reliable service, check out none other than Custom Concessions. They use high quality materials and provide high quality service. Use the sponsors tab at oldcitysports.com to check them out today. And while you're on that website, don't forget to check out that merchandise tab for some awesome Second and 15 merch. Once again, thanks y'all for joining in. This is Second and 15, a Philadelphia Eagles fan podcast presented by Old City Sports Network. We'll see y'all next week. Don't forget to stay fly like an eagle, and as always, go Birds.